This just in on CBS Sports HQ, some news out of the NFL where the Raiders plan to franchise tag Josh Jacobs if the two sides can't reach a deal by Tuesday's deadline. That is according to our NFL insider Jonathan Jones. Now, Jacobs led the league in rushing last season, adding 12 touchdowns. Under the franchise tag, he would make just over $10 million next season.
Let's break this down for you in case you're not super familiar. Franchise tag, very simply put, he'll get paid the average of the top 5 at the position. Problem, it's only a 1-year deal, so he'll get 1 year, roughly $10 million, instead of the long-term guarantee, the long-term security, and the long-term benefits.
As we sit 38 minutes before the start of the new league year, just handed down from Ian and from Jane Slater. It's the end of an era here. The Cowboys are releasing Ezekiel Elliott, former rushing champion, after 7 seasons. Jane, we've been talking about this for...
I'm Bridget Condon with an NFL Network Up to the Minute update. It is now official. The Vikings have released Dalvin Cook. According to NFL Network insider Tom Pelissero, this move was imminent today, barring a last-minute trade. The 4-time Pro Bowl running back is coming off a 4th straight 1,000-yard season. He has 52 career touchdowns and was due $10.4 million as a base salary in 2023. Now Cook is a free agent who should have a solid market.
With the recent release of former Minnesota Vikings running back Dalvin Cook, I started to ask myself, what is wrong with the running back market? This is a somewhat significant question that running backs themselves have started asking. The running back position now more than ever is seen as a glorified offensive line position by many organizations. If we look at some of the league's most significant running backs, we can see that they're the main engines of offense for their teams. Names like Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Saquon Barkley, Miles Sanders, and many more come up in the conversation. In this video, I plan to take a deeper dive into what has caused the downfall of the running back position, and if there is any way the position can be revived. From the early 90s to the late 2010s, running backs were probably the most sought-after position, right up there with quarterbacks. During this time period, many running backs dominated the game. Names like Emmitt Smith, Edgerrin James, Frank Gore, Reggie Bush, LaShawn McCoy, and Adrian Peterson come to mind for me. I feel that running backs were such a cultivated position because of the physical nature of the game. If you think of the hardest hits in NFL history, you think of the thick pads, the graininess of the TV screen, and most of all the collisions between running backs and linebackers. This is what made the sport such a spectacle for all Americans watching. Seeing these players basically put their bodies on the line for pure entertainment week in and week out. However, this toll on the players' bodies was too much. The constant hard hits started to decrease the average career length of a running back. To put in perspective, the average career length among all the previous players I listed was about 12.8 years, whereas currently it looks like a running back usually disappears after their rookie contract or shortly after signing an extension, which is about 4 to 6 years. While comparing legends to current running backs may seem a little off, but to any non-casual football fan, there's clearly something off with the longevity of a running back. One clear sign of this in the running back market has been this year's offseason. Just taking a look at the top 25 rushing leaders last season, first we have Ezekiel Elliott, one of the most recent victims of the rapidly moving running back market. Elliott, during his first 4 seasons, which is usually the duration of a rookie's contract, rushed for over 5,000 yards and had 40 touchdowns in 56 games, and was a 3-time Pro Bowler. After his 4 seasons playing, Dallas exercised his 5th-year option and extended him to a 6-year, $90 million extension. Now, looking into his stats halfway through the extension, he has played in 47 games and rushed for 2,857 yards. This is where we see the main catch-22 of the running back position. Once the running back has been physically exhausted and or injured, they sign him to a massive extension and then release them a few years later because they can't trade him to any team that will take the contract or simply no team that wants him. I mean, perfectly, shown in the example of Ezekiel Elliott. He was an absolute beast, but Dallas definitely ran him into the ground. I mean, he was coming out of Ohio State. He was one of the most sought-after running back prospects. I mean, he was a great player of the game, and Dallas knew that. They ran him into the ground. He was injured for a little bit, and then he came back, still played pretty well, but then they kind of found a new running back in Tony Pollard, and then now he's taking most of the glory at that running back position, and Ezekiel Elliott now is taking a back seat and kind of doing the dirty work down at the red zone, just for the Cowboys. So, I mean, now that he's taking this back seat, he still is getting a lot of money, and the Cowboys don't have a purpose for him anymore. And then they kind of chew him up, spit him out type of market, I feel like, for most running backs. And Ezekiel Elliott now, they tried to trade him, but no team wanted that contract that he signed, and they just could not get any value for him, so they ended up just releasing him. So, I mean, it seems like that for most of the running backs now in the league. And then, this happened to basically every top running back this offseason. Austin Eckler wants out because, I mean, he wants this extension, but again, we see that catch-22. Do the Chargers sign him to a big-year deal or big time deal for a lot of money for a lot of years, and then just find the next new running back, next new shiny running back that they don't have to pay whatsoever, and then just use him, and Austin Eckler takes the back seat. But Austin Eckler has been a really great player for the Chargers, and he just wants to be paid what he feels that he deserves. I mean, he was the main motor for that Chargers offense. He led in rushing yards and was top 5 in receiving yards for the team. Next up, you see Miles Sanders, who wasn't getting anything from the Eagles, so he went over to the Panthers for a lot more money. And then we have Jamal Williams, who has his first season with 1,000 yards and led the league in rushing touchdowns with 17 and accepted more money from the Saints. Dalvin Cook, great years for the Vikings, yet couldn't be traded and was cut. Then you have Saquon Barkley, who is currently sitting out on signing a 1-year, $10 million franchise tag. And he was the main reason that the Giants even made the playoffs, I feel. I'm sure he kind of went out a little bit, near the end of the season, but at the beginning of the season, he was just going absolutely off. And he's only getting a 1-year, $10 million franchise tag, while his teammate Daniel Jones got a 4-year, $160 million deal, which puts him up at top 5, I think, of highest paid NFL players as of right now. I mean, he's even getting paid more than Patrick Mahomes on a yearly basis. So, I mean, that's just crazy to me. Josh Jacobs did sign a 1-year, $10 million franchise tag after leading the league in rushing yards, and definitely proving to a new staff that he does belong with the organization, but yet they didn't sign him to a big contract. And Derrick Henry, still up there with rushing yards even after coming off of his injury, and he still might be up for trade. And who really knows? Derrick Henry is kind of aging here, so I could see why he could be up for trade. And he's not really going to be worth that much per se, but I mean, Josh Jacobs, and Saquon Barkley, those two deals really do bring up, the running back position's worth. I mean, I feel that this change of running back worth is caused by what the future of the NFL may be moving to. Currently, the top 5 highest earning NFL players that are under contract are all quarterbacks. According to Spot Track, the highest paid running back is rookie Bijan Robinson at roughly $13 million. The next runner-up is Christian McCaffrey, who is paid roughly $12 million a year, which again shows that, I mean, a lot of these teams, they just bring in a rookie running back that can possibly do better than the one that they have right now that's getting paid a lot more. So why not just start the one that you're paying less and kind of bench the one that you're paying more, and I mean, try and trade him around. And I mean, Bijan Robinson hasn't even played a snap in the NFL, and yet he's still the highest paid running back in the league, which is incredible to me. And when I was looking at it, I mean, most of these players are just, not deserving as a higher contract, but I will get into that later. But this just shows that the NFL seems to be heading into a more high-flying, flashy play approach to a once very physical game. While football is still very physical, almost all NFL offenses are dominated by pass-heavy game plans. To put into perspective, there are 13 wide receivers and 16 quarterbacks that are paid more than $13 million a year. Some of those being Geno Smith, Daniel Jones, Cortland Sutton, just to name a few that I feel, we could put in the argument as, are they more important to their team than Christian McCaffrey, who's their second highest paid running back in the league? I mean, this just brings into question how the running back position is perceived in the grand scheme of things. While Christian McCaffrey is a very good running back, he's also a very good receiving back, which adds to the threat of him in the backfield. While this change and evolution of the running back position may make sense because I feel like it was inevitable at some point, when does the running back position just turn into another receiving option and running the ball become practically non-existent? It seems to me that receiving out of the backfield is held in a higher regard compared to the ability to be able to run in between the tackles. While this evolution in the market is happening, is there any way to save it? My answer to that question is no. Well, I don't think the running back position will go extinct. There will always be some players that want to play that position, just due to the history behind the position within the league. However, these new players might have to play at a once-in-a-lifetime type of level in order to stay on their team or make higher paying contract negotiations. Other than that, I think the running backs will only be able to have 1 to 2 year contract extensions after they go past their rookie contracts. A lot of these players, especially these running backs, are playing on their rookie contract. That makes them, very valuable. That's why when they're good, it's great for the team because they're not paying that player a lot of money. But once, it comes up to, okay, I need some money now, I've done all this for the team, now you're not really seen as much of a great player for that organization. Now you're, trying to get more money. And I do get, the point of view from the organization's perspective. Clearly the running back position has had a lot of injuries. I mean, Christian McCaffrey had two back-to-back years where he got injured. Todd Gurley was probably a really good generational talent at the running back position and had multiple injuries that caused him to fail out. A lot of people remember Jamal Charles, who was really good until, injury problems started to kick in. A lot of these running backs that have been good early in their careers start to get injured, and it becomes harder for them to really bounce back and stay at that position where, they were. I mean, Adrian Peterson was able to come back from an ACL tear, but then once Adrian Peterson started to get older, he was bouncing from team to team, which is pretty normal for any skill position after you kind of get past 30 years old, especially for wide receivers or running backs. But like I brought up earlier, the running back position used to be highly sought after. It used to be, it was your quarterback and your running back. But now I feel they've kind of taken a back seat to the wide receiver quarterback combo. The backfield isn't really seen as a staple in today's league. We see quarterbacks taking 30 to 60 pass attempts and very few rush attempts. I mean, you barely see it like a very high running offense. I mean, the Titans are doing it with their really good play action play, but now that Derrick Henry's getting a little bit older, he's getting injured, it does look like the Titans are trying to trade him away, and we don't really know if they're going to be transferring over to a more high-flying offense. The Jets, I mean, they might be coming back. Breece Hall is a really great running back, but I mean, is Aaron Rodgers willing to check down and not pass to, his multiple wide receiver threats? Like, a lot of these offenses in the league are not that rush oriented. They're really trying to move forward to getting more yards in less plays, and they're not really trying to run the ball as often. I mean, really, when you see the ball being ran, it's usually at the beginning of the game or the end of the game. You don't really see much in the middle. It's more passing, more, just kind of up in the air. These highlight plays that ESPN posts are all, mainly passes. I mean, sure, you get some running backs here and there where they have a really great run, but other than that, that's really about it. And the running backs just haven't really been getting their flowers after their contract is up. It's a luxury to have for these organizations to have a running back that they only have to pay their rookie contract, which could be extremely low, especially if they were drafted way later in the draft. So, I mean, a lot of these players are playing off of these contracts that are, way undervalued for what they're doing out there on the field. So, I mean, I'm not really sure if there is a way, you could fix it. I have seen on other podcasts where, they're talking about guaranteed money, does the running back get that? And that could be another question, because now you got organizations thinking, why give this man, guaranteed money when I can just franchise tag him? The franchise tag has been used abusively in these running back contract negotiations. I mean, just a 1-year, $10 million deal that the Raiders put on Josh Jacobs, who led the league in rushing, and Saquon Barkley, who was mainly their best player on offense for the Giants. A 1-year, $10 million deal just seems very disrespectful to what, they're playing for. And I'm not sure if this, if the running back position can be fixed, to where, okay, they can make their money, but also, kind of make it fair for both the organization and the player. I think a lot of it has leaned more to the organization, and I don't think the running back position is as highly valued anymore due to the increases in injury risk and how injury prone most of them have been. And that's why, they go out on the field and they're, catching out of the backfield. They're not running in between the tackles like that anymore. So, and even, wide receivers being put in the backfield as well to, do jet sweeps or run out to the outside, catches from the backfield. I mean, a lot of it is now changing, and this rapid change for the running back position has caused a lot of these great running backs to have to take really small deals, or just like 1-year light little deals, or even just being cut from their team and just never being back in the league. I mean, a lot of running backs from my past, like Melvin Gordon, who was pretty good after his contract with the Chargers, bounced from team to team. Adrian Peterson more followed him past his prime, and he's just bouncing from team to team. A lot of these running backs just haven't been compensated, I feel, and maybe something could come up, but I highly doubt it. I think the running back position is going to be a position that is going to be a really it's going to have to be guaranteed that this running back can't get injured and will continue to play at a high level for these organizations to really give a running back his money. And for the running back side of it, it's going to be really hard to get back onto a team after playing so many years. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott, a lot of people thought he was going to be picked up within the first week of him being released by the Cowboys, and yet it's been a few months since he's been released and he hasn't been signed to a team. While, players like D-Hop, who were just released by the Cardinals, he's being visited and talked to by multiple teams already. So it's just an interesting state, and I just wanted to have a little bit of commentary on it. I did kind of go on a rant there at the end, but just a little bit of commentary on the running back, market, and if it can be fixed, if anything can happen to where running backs can get compensated, but I highly doubt it. I think it'll become a position where after your rookie contract, it's going to be 1 to 2 year deals with the team until, they just don't want to re-sign you anymore. But that'll be all for today's video. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Can the running back market be fixed? Make sure you go ahead and leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And also share the video with anybody that you think may want to watch or listen to this episode. And if you're on the podcast version, go ahead and make sure you leave the podcast a 5-star review and hit the follow button. That'd be greatly appreciated. But without further ado, again, that's all, and have a great rest of your day.